Hi and welcome. Today, Great.com talks with Actasia.org. Now, if you're new here, the purpose of our podcast is to explain what great organizations do in a way that is easy to understand. And if you haven't heard of Actasia before, they are an organization that is educating children, consumers, and professionals to promote kindness and compassion for people, animals, and the environment among Asian societies. And I'm here today with Mrs. Pei Su, the co-founder and the CEO of actasia.org. Pei, how are you today?
Fine, thank you. It's great to be able to be on the great.com for this interview.
So how would you explain your cause to someone that is not familiar with your organization or the challenges that you face?
Yes. Actasia's mission is education for a more compassionate world. We teach children and educate consumers, training teachers and vets to learn compassion, empathy, and respect towards human, animals, and nature.
And do you see that this type of education is something that is missing in maybe schools or families in today's society then?
I do. I think we are in a very challenging world. We're facing the violence, towards human beings, each other. We're facing, lots of cruelty issues, and our nature environment certainly is, under the huge, climate change crisis. And I think what Actasia is unique is, to promote compassion, empathy is not unusual within a lot of charity, but we are promoting the compassion, empathy extended to non-human animals and certainly the respect and protection to our nature. And what we really see is we are all interconnected. We could not just tackle one issue on its own. When human beings are overconsumed, we are buying, all these products, and who are suffering? The animals are often suffering behind that, and certainly the cause, the pain is our nature. So we feel to work on what with the challenge we are facing, we cannot just have one isolated, focus.
I think this is a very important approach to take to create a shift in society. I remember when I was in school, I spent so many years learning German, for example, that I never used, but we didn't have a single class on compassion. Do you think that is something that can be changed in society? Like, I would love to see a school where compassion and how we connect with each other is the first thing on the agenda.
I do. I think you hit the nail on the head. Is the real purpose of education. If you look at UNESCO, the purpose of education is learn how to be a responsible citizen, how to be a good person, and, to teach your kids know the world, sense the world, and participate in the world. So in the end of the day, the purpose of education is we can live together in harmony. We in the journey of the education for kids, very often this has been missing. So academic pressures, the peer pressure is overtaking. We seem to forget how to be a good human being and responsible citizens. These are citizens including not only just being a good child at home, is to have a critical thinking, to be able to say what actions I should take which will harm less people, human and animals, and natures. And I think that's what Actasia started in 2012. We developed the course called Caring for Life curriculum. This is the education course we want all schools to learn, especially in Asia, where we're facing even bigger challenge. So it's a 6 years course. We develop our curriculum, guidelines, framework, and lesson plans for teachers. We train teachers how to teach this course. So we have been, try to, focus on the challenge we have and using a very innovative way to tackle the course from the beginning. And certainly we are facing the challenge as well, because this is certainly not something that has been done. And so as a pioneer, we have to, blazing the blade and, go to find a way to go forwards. And certainly to get more support for what we're doing is very important, especially in terms of funding.
Mm. I do see how I would love to see schools where this is the most important thing for them to learn. And I'm going to ask you many more questions about how you go about creating this change. But first, I'm curious myself, as someone living in Sweden. I have never been to China, for example, that I know you just came back on from a trip. And is there a difference in how society is structured when it comes to compassion between Europe and China?
I don't think compassion is different between Europe and America. I do feel the value of animals' life, attitude towards nature could be very different in that part of the world. And I think the challenge we are facing today is, like I said at the beginning, is human, animal, and nature are all interacted. We cannot isolate it on its own. When we talk about climate change, it's actually a human behavior, how we abuse our environment, how much we continue to buy without thinking about the consequence. So it's not talking about nature on its own, it's who is causing that catastrophe in our environment, in our society today. And I think, come back to your question, is I don't think particularly, a lot of people say it's the Chinese people, more cruel than Westerner. I don't think so. I think we are, a lot of Asians are very kind and compassionate, but they may not know animals have feelings. They may not know this dog is not objects. These animals, they can feel the pain, they have, they can understand, the compassion towards each other. So they've been seen as a being. And I see that value of non-human animals is more recognized, and they are, as a sentient being themselves, is more, accepted in this part of the world. And I think that's where the challenge we are facing, and we are trying to make change from very, fundamentally when the kids are learning as well. And also enable, people like you to see how we can make that change fundamentally.
So the way you tackle this challenge, like you said, is a 6-year program and it's focused towards kids then. So are you kind of saying that kids are the easiest ones to change their behavior or don't start a negative behavior in the first place? Or is it too late to change the mind of grown-ups?
You're asking that question in one go. I will try. Yeah. I think kids are empathetic. Kids are born to be kind. It's very unusual for the kids to be nasty. So in almost our course is try to maintain the kids' empathy and compassion and learn how to live with each other.
You maintain the compassion that is already there instead of teaching them something new.
Exactly. It's how I see a lot of cases. The kids actually love animals, but they were told, animals are dirty, animals are dangerous, animals are there for us to use. And I think it's that, the shift of thinking to recognize it, that is important. The kids generally love animals. That's why Disney sells so well. Why Disney have so many animals in their films. They know the psychology of animals. So and not only the animal, I think nature and animals are all interrelated. And then for 5-6 years old, maybe he doesn't like his friend next to it because the friend take her toys away. But if you teach the kids, that person is like the dogs he loves, he might connect it better. So I think sometimes we tend to go the wrong order, and that's what we want to teach in the sense. And how we go to school, we not only teach kids, because to enable us to have a program to learn a course, we need to influence. We have to train teachers, and teachers are adults. Also in our program, we focus on one of our key programs is compassion lifestyle. That's where we educate consumers. We tell consumers what you buy has a consequence. for example, fast fashion. Fashion industry is one of the most polluted industry in the world now, to cause lots of damage, cause lots of, the carbon footprint in our environment. So we train these designers, we train, the consumers, don't buy fur, because fur is cruel to animals. Fur farming has huge environmental impacts as well. This is not something we need for our, modern society. So I don't feel we are doing just focus on the kids, because I always think as a grown-up adults, we make a lot of bad things, and we actually want the kids to pick up the bill, because they have no nature were left for them. I think that's really important. So what we are trying is go from the top and also the bottom. So the kids are the bottom for the future. The top bit is also working together as well.
So it seems like you have a lot of different angles to tackle these challenges. Now, if you would tell me about a success or a project that you're particularly proud of that has worked out well for you, do you have one in mind?
I have several in mind, but first of all, I think we're very proud, with our Caring for Life children's education program. We have, growing stronger and stronger. We started in 2012. We have reached, today, in the end 2019, we almost reached, it's going to be over 100,000 kids. And that is a tremendous, achievement for us. Especially we are relatively limited in budget, and we also have trained, thousands of teachers and educators. They are teaching our course. At the end of last year was the first year we use online training for our online course teaching. That was our first time to try for the person like me speak on the camera in front of the computer. We actually can reach, thousands of kids last year. So in total, we reached over 30,000 kids in each of our lessons. And that is, one of our achievements in 2019. So with Actasia's work, we are not only, doing the teaching, we also collect the data to show effective altruism, to show we are not just kind in heart. We actually are, know the method, the methodology, and we collected the method, we have the proper method, and we collect the data we need as well to show the effective result we have reached. And of course, the education is a long-term change, but at least we are trying to collect as many data as we can for the time being.
This got to be a challenge for you, not only trying to fit into the effective altruism space, but trying to get your cause to be founded in schools in general, because math is very easy to test and measure. And now I can compare my school to your school and say my school is better. It's more tricky to measure compassion, I guess, or am I wrong there?
Yes and no. I think, everything can be measured, but it's not as easy as some academic subjects we're facing. But we have been working with the City University of New York, Dr. William Samuel, since 2012. We have different instruments. For example, we have a consecutive 3-year study between 2013 to 16. We show we have the scientific study to show the kids actually become kinder to each other. So for the pro-social behavior is better. We also have cheap result, that is the children's attitude towards the environment. We have result is after the course, the kids are more aware of the pollution issue, they're more aware of environment surrounding them. So we have data to show. We also is going to come up with our empathy scale. Is we tested the kids their empathy scale after learning the course. So it's something nobody has done in terms of the education on compassion, empathy, what we call human education, but we have solid data. We can prove this data has been, published by academic journal as well. So this is show how we want to show this as a scientific result.
Is there a sense of resentment from these kids when you tell them, okay, hey guys, you're going to grow up in this world. We, as the grown-ups, we have tortured your animals, we have destroyed your nature, we have created this chaos. Good luck with that. Are the children angry? How are they taking in the reality that we live in?
I think with the kids where we focus is 6 to 12 years old. I think in that part of the time of learning is make them feel safe, confidence. It's not just reveal them to all the problem. That is the learning theory. You have to say what age they can accept, the violence or the degree of the, negativities. And I think what we really try to teach kids is ability to think, ability to make that judgment. I think a lot of us today, we still don't know what we are doing, damaging our environment. We are still, for example, people still drinking plastic water bottle, in the film all the time. This is still happening. Of course, we have lots of enterprise or corporate now change, but I think as a consumers, how we make that difference in our everyday action. That's what we are promoting, compassion lifestyle within Actasia. And I think when kids want to grow up to say, this is something I don't want to do, not because I've been told to do as well.
I love it. I wish there was these types of educations when I get kids. I love the idea of maintaining the empathy and compassion that is already in these children before they get educated out of it. I think your work is highly important at Actasia. And I can imagine someone listening to this podcast right now feeling, yes, this is important. I want more kids to get this type of education. I want to contribute and use my compassion somehow here. What can they do to help your organization?
It's really important. And I'm so grateful we have this opportunity to introduce to your listener, and we desperately need the support. We using shoestring budget to do, the course, the project we're doing. We definitely need funding, and ironically, our children's education is one of the hardest programs we can raise funding, because there's always more burning issues. For example, people will say, okay, I understand to teach kids, learn to love dogs is important, but how about buy this dog from the dog market? We're still in the firefighting mode, Band-Aid. This is the hurting. We got to get a plaster on the issues, on the problem. But what I want to change after working 28 years in, for the social cause, I do feel we got to fundamentally address the issue. So please donate to us. Go to our website. For $15, US $15 or 10 euros, we can allow a child to learn a year of lessons. So help us to reach more children. I could have done so much if we have funding. And many, many times we say we have to let it go. It's just we have no funding. And that's where the most frustrating thing as well. There's opportunity for us to do more and to create more compassionate world together.
And imagine how that education can change the life of that child, and how that child then can touch the lives of everyone he or she meets. So again, go to actasia.org, and I encourage you to support them with a donation. Pei, it has been lovely speaking with you.
Yes.
Have a wonderful day.
Yes, great. Thank you ever so much for giving me this opportunity. And I do hope more of your great.com's, visitors and listener and can support us. Let us, get together, create a more compassionate world for next generation by donating to us, please.
That sounds wonderful. Have a lovely day, Pei.
Thank you. Thank you ever so much. And it's so nice to meet you and speak to you. Thank you.
It was.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.